She's my ghost one.
Yes.
She's not imaginary, I promise.
Welcome to candy making. This is going to be so fun with you guys doing this. I don't know about you guys, but I grew up in a household where my mom created lollipops and suckers. Like, what do you call it? Lollies, suckers? Lollipops.
Yeah.
How many? Raise your hands. Who calls it a lollipop? Who calls it a sucker? I feel like it's like kind of where you grew up, what your household called it. I've like gravitated to me. I'm like, lolly sounds fun, and you know, like okay, let's make a lolly versus a sucker. But when my kids are grabbing them off the shelf, I'm like, hurry, grab a sucker, let's go. So I guess it kind of depends on the context of when I'm using it. But I did grow up in a household where my mom created these, and I thought she was so magical that she could whip up some sugar, some corn syrup, and then we would have treats. And my friends would come over and they're like, your mom makes these? This is so cool. So when I was dating my husband, my sister-in-law was like 13 years old at the time, and I was like, oh, I'm going to show them how great it is to make suckers. So I took everything over and I gave the whole demo, we created it, and I forgot to tell her at the very end, do not touch it. Which I thought, I grew up in a household, we all knew that, right? And so as soon as we poured it into the mold, she goes and sticks her finger right in it, and I was like, that's great. He's not gonna marry me. He's gonna kick me out of the house. I just burned his little sister's finger. And if you guys ever had a hard candy burning, it's like blistering and painful and like the worst thing imaginable. And I was like, oh great, I'm never gonna be a Smith. But luckily he forgave me. and we're married now, and she's fine. So it's great. But it was so fun for me to like see, like, wait a minute, not everyone grew up in a household that does this. And so when we met Alanna, I was like, I am so glad you're bringing this back to people's minds. I think it's such a fun thing that we kind of like always appreciated and loved and enjoyed. We haven't always like walked through that whole process with everyone. And so as I've gotten to know her and see the amazing things that she creates, I don't know if you guys follow her, but you should, because it's so much more than just candy making. It's creating things with poured sugar. And so we asked her today, I was like, would you want to show them how you shape it? So you're going to kind of get a little bit of both today. So if you guys haven't followed her, jump on her Instagram, start following her, but then make sure you're paying attention to this, because it's more than just a mold for Alanna. So we're just really excited to have you guys here. Thank you so much, and thank you for being here.
Oh,
this is like, don't you guys just want to like take her? I'm like, I feel really tall.
Give me all the hugs. I'm like nervous.
But I'm like, no, this is a room full of friends and family, so thank you so much for celebrating candy with a chocolate twist today. So
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
Go for it. Yep, it's all you.
Okay, so with hard candy sugar, what you're gonna do, the first two things that you want to get, right, are a good saucepan. Make sure you get a good saucepan. I like the ones that have a little lip on it, so when you're pouring, it just stays in that little vicinity when you're like pouring. Okay, and then you want to get I like to use a wood spoon. You can use a silicone one or whatever you want, but the wood ones are just my go-to. And then you want to make sure you get mold, right? Make sure you get the white mold. Yes.
What brand is your pot?
I honestly, it's made by design. I got it at Target.
Oh, okay.
So I got this one because it's the smaller quart. So you can get bigger ones, and
The smaller one's nice.
yeah, the small one is nice, because then when you're pouring, it doesn't hurt your wrist as much. And then you want to get a mold, right? Make sure when you're doing hot, like the hard candy sugar, you get the white molds. The clear ones will melt. Those are mostly for chocolate. This is not chocolate, so you want to get the white ones. And then you want to get a candy thermometer. I love the glass ones. These are always my go-to. Or you can use one of these like digital ones. Either one works great. You just have to decide what works best for you. So for me, for how many years I've been doing it, this has been my go-to. My mom actually gave me one when she was first married, and I used it, and that's what I first started working with when I first started making lollipops like 12 years ago, and I have loved it. And then you want to make sure you have a good flavoring. I always use the Loran oils. Any of the super strength ones or their natural ones will work good. Do not use the emulsions though. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, we're gonna do, it's super simple. It's a lot of hurry up and waiting. That's what candy making is all about. So we're gonna do 1 cup of sugar. And then we're gonna do a 1/2 cup of corn syrup. And you wanna use the light corn syrup. And then a 1/4 cup of water. Okay, and then you just mix it all together. Can you guys see it on that screen very well? Or is that better?
That's good.
Okay, so when you mix it all together, you want to get it to like this consistency where it's all combined. And then you're going to put it on medium heat. Let's see if I can work this. How many of you have worked with hard candy sugar before? Oh, you guys should be up here teaching. You guys are like pros, right? Okay, so we're gonna put it on medium heat and stir for a tiny bit. Until it gets a little bit more syrupy. Let it boil. Okay. And then you're gonna put in.
That flame is that backwards.
Is this the really hot one?
Yeah, there's some good lower for you. There you go.
You don't want
Is
to
it
like.
even running it? Did we turn the gas off?
No, it's still going.
It's still going.
Okay. So there you go,
Coming up
guys.
this side.
I'm used to an electric. Okay, now I'm like scared I'm gonna like burn this. This side of it. Okay. Okay. So I actually started doing this 12 years ago. My sister-in-law had, well, she was going to be my sister-in-law. She is my sister-in-law now. I always make this more complicated than it needs to be. So she was engaged to my brother, right? They had a bridal shower, and they had the most incredible cinnamon lollipops I've ever tasted in my entire life. And I remember sitting there, and it was like a moment for me where I was like, holy moly, I want that. Like Heather said, like, it's one of those moments where you're like, oh, that was really good. And you made that? I just thought you got them from the store, right? And so, ever since then, I bought a lollipop kit, sucker kit, whichever way you guys want to say it, a sucker kit. And I went from there. Like, I started making them with my kids, and then last year hit, and I was like, you know what? My friends told me, I had 2 friends that were like, your lollipops are so incredible. You need to be selling these. And I was like, oh, whatever. I'll do it later. But my kids are older, right? But then they were like, no, you really need to try and do this. And so I tried, and of course, like COVID hits, right? Right when I opened everything up, I was like, oh. So I had to pivot a little bit on how I wanted to go about my business. And so I started making them, and I did monthly flavors, and I would sell them online. And then I started to get really bad anxiety and really bad depression. And so it kind of pivoted into a work of art. And you'll see me when I hand pour my lollipops. It's more than just candy for me. It actually kept me sane for the whole last year. As you guys probably know, there's probably something that helped you get through a lot of things, right? Sorry, this takes forever, you guys. I'm not kidding. It's gonna be 10 minutes of just waiting for it to boil, because you want to get it boiling to 250 before I can put any sugar in, any flavoring in it. So do you guys have any questions while we're waiting for this to start boiling all the way? Do you have to stir it at all while it comes up to boil? No, do not stir. Yeah, you want, once it starts boiling. Oh, I wish. Can they see it up there?
A little bit in the corner, yeah.
Do you see it kind of starting to boil on the sides up there?
Yeah, I can see a little.
Okay. So once it starts to do that, you stop stirring, and you'll just let the boiling action happen. And you want to boil it all the way up to 250. And then once it hits the 250, you want to add in your food coloring. And with the food coloring, I like to use the gel ones. You can use the liquid food colorings if you want at this point. But do not use like the liquid food coloring when it's done being cooked, because then it will seize up and then it will crystallize on you. So just so you guys know.
Is that because it has the moisture in it, the water?
Yeah.
Like the kind you buy at the grocery store?
Yeah, definitely. I've done that so many times when I was first practicing. I was like, oh, it needs more color. And then I'm like, what did I just do? I ruined the whole batch. So
what's the secret to your cinnamon lollipops that you love so much?
you add double the amount of cinnamon. So you gotta be careful because it will burn your face. Like the steam hurts so bad with the cinnamon. So that is the key. It's so good though.
And the same flavoring, company that make these flavorings?
Yeah, they have a cinnamon one and then they have a red hot cinnamon. So I usually just use cinnamon and that one works great.
What are your most popular flavors?
My most popular flavors are actually marshmallow lavender.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you just use marshmallow flavoring and lavender flavoring?
So I use marshmallow flavoring, and then I grow edible flowers, and I dry them, and I grew the lavender, and then I dry it, and then I put the little petals in it.
Ooh, the petals, not the purple part, or just
the little purple parts I put
okay.
inside of it, and just sprinkle, and that one is like my top seller.
Ooh.
Yeah, other than watermelon, of course. Like, who doesn't like the watermelon, right? So good. Yeah.
You have such a fun variety of flavors. How do you come up with your combinations of flavors?
Yeah.
That one's tricky. Sometimes I'm just like, you know what, let's experiment. Let's see if green apple and guava would go good together. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes they're terrible. But they're great. That's how I come up with it. I just experiment constantly with flavoring. And I also like to see like what people are baking as well, like what pairs together. And that's how we came up with like a marshmallow lavender one. Like I saw people using marshmallows and putting lavender together, and I was like, I bet you could do that with a lollipop. And it turned out incredible. Yes.
What's been the grossest flavor combination you've done?
The grossest flavor?
I thought would work, and then it was just
Well,
no winner.
it wasn't on purpose. So when I make my lollipop art, I'm just making sure it's not getting too hot yet. I have leftover candy like all the time, right? So I grabbed some red and I grabbed some of this like purple color, and I was like, oh, I don't even know what flavor is there, but we're gonna put them together. It was a cinnamon and it was a grape, and it was terrible. So don't do cinnamon grape. I don't know why you would even want to try that, but don't do it.
So you melt it back together?
Yeah.
Okay.
So with sugar, one of the things is sugar is really finicky. Like you can heat it up, right, and pour it, and it's wonderful. But to reheat it, you have like one chance to reheat, and after that, it's burnt, and you don't want to use it again. So any extra that I have, I put it in like little containers, and for my decorating ones, I use it for that. So, did someone have one up there? Oh, okay. What do you do with all of your lollipops that you make? We love watching like your creations online. Do you guys just eat them all at your house, or do you just like? I know, I have a ton. I actually have bags full of just like some of my creations, because some of them I'm like, oh, I don't want to get rid of those. They're so cute. But a lot of them I do give away to friends and family and neighbors, or I try to sell them if anyone wants them. But yeah, I just threw away a huge bag of candy lollipops, and I was like, oh, it's too late now. They're gone. Yes.
How long do they last? Like, how long are they good for? Is it sort of an indefinite thing, or?
So they are good for a while. They never really go bad. It's just they start to crystallize. So it, like any candy at the store you get, hard candy, if you notice, if you've kept it for years, you're gonna notice that they're starting to get like not as clear, they're getting more opaque, and so over time they get crystallized. I say with homemade candy, it's about a month to 2 months if you store it correctly, like if it's in an airtight container and it's wrapped really well. They should be good for 2 months before they start to crystallize. Okay, let's see where this is at. Sorry, you guys. It really is just a waiting game. Okay, yes.
So do you ever use those metal with the clamps type of molds?
I've seen those before. I haven't used them. I use
these molds for everything.
Yeah, I use these ones. I do have the metal round ones, the big ones that they have that give you the big circle spheres. Those ones are incredible as well. Yeah, you just need to make sure you spray. Oh, that's what we can do. While it's waiting, we can spray these. You want to make sure you spray it with a light coating of either canola oil or like olive oil. Otherwise, they will stick to the molds and they won't pop out very good. So very, very, very light on that. And then you can put your lollipop sticks in while we're waiting. And the sticks that I like to use are actually the Orson Gigi kind, the brand that they have. They're a little bit more thick and sturdy to hold on to. Okay, we're getting there, you guys. I'm sorry.
So I was just browsing your Instagram and saw these cute hollow ones that you fill with goo.
Yes, those ones are fun.
Yes, it looked like it was like a little mold that you put in there.
Yeah, so there's the molds, right? And I made a little insert mold. So when I pushed it down, it hollows it out. So when I like heat them together and put them together to make a whole sphere, it sticks. But yes, I did put like that candy goo. Do you guys remember that as a kid? I put that inside. Oh, it was really good though.
Looks really fun.
It was really fun to do.
So, on that same topic, do they sell the little silicone thing that you pushed in, or that just was your thing?
No, I actually made those. So my brother has like a 3D printer and I had him make me some. So I could make those little things. So I might have extra.
How do we
Yes,
find
I
you
would
on
love
Instagram?
those.
What?
How do we find you on Instagram?
I'm the Sweet Storyline.
It's on the top of your handout.
Stop right here.
It's really fun to watch her
she's
shape
right
her
on the suckers.
Okay. So we're getting there.
And you prefer that kind of a thermometer over a digital?
Yeah, I like it. I think it's just because I've always used this. But I have used these ones before and they work just as good. I think for me it's like what what I'm used to. So it kind of, I don't know, with cooking there's like a voodoo in a way. Like you always do it a specific way, right?
And is it as finicky as like other candies? Like, do you have to calibrate your thermometer to make sure that it's exactly like
You wanna make sure.
250 degrees?
Yeah, you want to make sure that it is the correct ones because I know I've had some thermometers where they're off and then you get to what you think is 300 and it's actually like 350 and you burned it, right? So you want to make sure you keep checking them every time before you use them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is this mat that you work on, that you pour on?
Oh, so it's a silicone mat. I got that white one just on Amazon.
Is it like a thinner one or a thicker one?
It's a thinner one, yeah. Yeah, but I'll show you guys on this thicker one some hand torn lollipops. I don't know what shape. What shape should I do, guys? When I do the hand ones, anyone? I was thinking lipstick, or nail polish. Was that it?
She just did a party and she did lipstick and nail polish. Suckers.
Cool.
Okay, so we're getting there. We're almost at 250. This is the part that takes, I feel like it takes forever just to get to 250. But once it gets to 250, you want to watch it like a hawk. Like, you don't want to take your eyes off of it, because it'll go from 250 to 300 in like 5 seconds. And that's probably why a lot of people, that's where they burn it, because they're like, oh, they get sidetracked and they need to do something else, right? I've done it so many times where I'm like, oh, I need to hurry and grab this. And it's like 2 minutes, and all of a sudden I come back and I'm at like 325, and I'm like, oh, it's burnt now. And that's the worst. Yes.
So a batch that size, how many molds does it fill?
So this one, for the medium ones, it's usually about 12 medium lollipops. For the small ones, though, it's about 20. And then for the big ones, it's 3. 3 to 5, maybe.
Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? Yeah.
Where's your favorite place to get molds?
Here. I actually love getting the molds here. Heather gets to see me like once a week or once a month, or
Which we love.
I'm always here getting lollipop molds.
The first time I met her, she had her boys in the shorter or the smaller shopping cart. She had one on the top and one on the bottom, and it was just so cute. Like, she's like, I just came to get some flavors, and I'm like, first off, who are these cute boys? But
I know, they fit in that little cart too. It's like those little ones, and they're both just chilling in the bottom basket. That one would not even fit in those. They're so big now. Okay.
have you talked about your favorite flavors yet?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
you
talked
did?
about
Okay.
some of our favorite flavors. Okay, and then another thing I want to talk about though is if you are nervous to do candy making, especially with lollipops, I always suggest you guys get the cotton gloves, so these little gloves, and then like a vinyl glove to go on top of it. So it helps prevent you from getting burned. And I have been burned so many times. You would think you would learn right the first 2 times, right? No, I still do. I still am like, oh, I got this. I don't need them. And then I burn my finger again, and I'm like, yeah, I do need them after all. We're getting closer.
Are there any designs you've been wanting to do that you haven't gotten to yet?
Yes, I actually really want to do, well, I've done a pinwheel one before, but I want to make it move kind of pinwheel. So I got to figure out the engineering part on that. So we'll see if I can get it figured out. Yeah.
Out of all the different designs on the lollipops that you have done, you've done some really, really creative ones. What's the strangest one that someone's asked you to do? Because I know like you've done the cicada one.
Yeah.
What's the strangest request you've gotten for a lollipop?
The strangest, that probably was it. It was just the like bug ones. And I love doing insects. Like insects are my favorite. Like, of course, because I have 3 boys, right? That's like their interest right now. So they're always like, hey mom, make a grasshopper lollipop, or make a butterfly, or make a ladybird, or you know, all those things. So those ones are really fun. Oh wait, I did have someone ask me to do a pimple one and try to pop it, and I was like trying to figure out how to make that. It didn't happen, by the way. I couldn't figure it out, but I was like, I don't know. I don't know if that goes very well with candy. Ew, pop. It's almost like a gusher in a way.
Gross.
But yeah. Okay. You're so close to 250, you guys. Any other questions? I feel so bad. I feel like it really is just like very straightforward sugar, corn syrup, water, wait to boil.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are your food colorings, I know you said gel, but are they oil-based or water-based?
They're oil-based. Yeah.
So can you use the water-based ones? Or?
Yes, you can when it hits 250. So when it hits 250, you can put those in. But if it's after you're done taking it all the way off, you can't add those water ones, because then it will crystallize the sugar and seize it up.
But you could add oil ones after.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so now we are at almost at 250. We're like 245. But you can add, I'm going to add 2 drops of white. and 1 drop of the brown. I don't even think I opened this one. Guys, rookie.
Here.
You got it? Thanks. Okay, so when you add the coloring in, do not stir it. You let the boiling action take its part in it. I know I should have
Is
done
this where your teeth come in?
No, poke it with your thermometer.
Yeah, let's see.
Oh, you're fine. Oh, you're good. Isn't she the best though, by the way? These two have been amazing. They've helped me they made these lollipops, which are phenomenal. I cannot wait for you guys to eat them.
There you go. Thank God.
Okay, so we're gonna do 1 drop of the brown, and then let that boil. And then you're gonna just watch this. Super, super careful, because it will come up to the 300 pretty quickly. And have you seen how they do lollipops where they have like a swirl or they have like 2 different colors in them? So the way to do those is you put the one color in, like the base color. So if you just wanted it white and then the other side red, you put the white in first, and then at 300 when you take it off and after you put the flavoring in, you'll add in like 1 drop of the oil, base one, and stir the one side. And then when you pour it, you'll have the 2-tone look to it. So I learned that one the hard way. I did 2 different pots, and I did one color and the other, and I'm like trying to pour both of them. That is hard. Okay. We're almost there, you guys. Any other? Yes.
How many years have you been doing this?
I've been doing this for 12 years. So, just a little bit. But I did my business last year. I started it. So, and that was a whole different game. Like crazy. Yes.
Are animals hard to make?
Are animals hard to make? Yeah, some of them are really hard to make. If you have a mold, it's awesome because it's super easy to just pour in. But when you're hand doing them, some of them are kind of crazy. And the way I have to look at it is like the shapes. Like what shape does this cat make? Is a circle and 2 triangles, right? And a little circle for the nose. It's really fun to do. So if you notice that it's like a light brown, can you guys see that?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I want it to be a little bit darker, so I'm going to add in 1 more drop of the brown. And let it keep bubbling and getting there. And I think you had someone who was making candy the other day, and he's just staring at the thermometer,
It's
right?
like 4 degrees, and he goes, okay, no one talk.
I know, that's
You just have to. He wasn't watching, so hi, John.
So I'm like doing the same thing where I'm just watching it because I am so close to 300 right now. I am at 290, and so I'm actually going to take it off at 290 because it will keep boiling. Let's see. Sorry, hot pad, right?
You can set it on the other.
On this? Okay. Is this okay? I don't want to burn your thing.
You can just set it either way.
Okay. Okay. So we're at 300. Let me get this stuff out of the way real quick. Can you guys see this? Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is get our chocolate flavoring. And it's a ½ teaspoon for the 1 cup. So if you're doing 2 cups, you wanna make sure you do a full teaspoon.
Is that ratio for every flavoring?
Except for the peppermint and cinnamon, those ones are super strong. So you might have to tone it back a little on those ones. And then when you stir the flavoring in, did you see the steam come up? You want to make sure that your face is out of the way because you will burn your face with that. It's not a spa treatment. So you want to incorporate it all the way. Okay. So now it is ready to pour into the molds. And you see how it's still a little kind of bubbly in a way?
You're not on camera.
You're not on camera. You gotta
Go
put it
that
right
way.
there. You go.
I'm like,
There
right
you
here?
go.
Yep.
Right there? Okay, sorry. Wait, did you not see it the other time?
No.
Oh, sorry. Okay, and then you just pour very, very, very carefully. And do you see what I'm talking about with the spout? The slotted one?
Great.
How it just stays in the one area. Because I've tried it with the ones that don't have that, and it's fine, and it works. If that's what you have on hand, go ahead and do it. It's totally fine. But this will just keep it in the one area, whereas the other ones start to spread.
I'm very impressed with your stability. Mine kind of go woo.
See, and this is where I go really quiet. I'm like, gotta focus.
Do you feel it just to the rim, or are you kind of going over, a little under?
So I go just to the rim. That one I filled a little too much. But I like to get it so it covers the stick for the most part. Because you can see like sometimes like how the sticks pop up. You're going to have to like go in and make sure you push down on those so they stay down.
And then you say nothing.
Yeah, I have a tiny bit left.
No, I won't put my head on it.
Okay, so we're gonna let those sit, and those sit for about 10 to 15 minutes, so they can cool completely. And like Heather said, do not touch those, because they will burn.
Do you ever put them in the fridge or anything?
I don't.
No.
I did once, and they actually cracked. So, so I just leave them out to cool. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you guys a hand design. What should I make, guys?
Cow.
A cow. Okay, let's do this. See if I can do it. You would say that, wouldn't you? See if I can figure this out. We're gonna do like a stick figure cow. How does that sound? He's gonna be a little
Have
chunky.
you ever used like an overhead projector to like print your pattern onto your mat?
You know, I never have. I should. That would be easier.
Like a cake, you know, like cookie cake things that are out with Pico or the
Yeah.
crappy cake.
Yeah, I have a lot of cookie friends that use those projectors. It's gonna be a funny looking cow. Sorry, guys.
How long do you find that you have to work with it before it's like too hard?
So right now, I am almost at a point where it's like too hard to work with. I'm trying to get this shaped. So, what I like to do is I like to put it back on the heat, like not on, but it's still warm, so it keeps the sugar a little warm without cooking it all the way. If I'm shaping something. Sorry, this is a funny looking cow. Oh, you guys. It's a little. It looks like I know, I'm like, oh, I don't know. This might be a little. It looks like you know what? It's whatever you guys want it to be now. It's like trying to shape it. There's the little udders.
Maybe it's like a pond.
Oh, you guys. Well, there's a somewhat looking cow. I don't.
It's amazing. I couldn't have done it. So.
I know I don't have like the blowtorch to add to it.
So you use a torch to soften it back up?
Yep. And to like attach pieces to it. So like this, I would have attached like the nose to it with the torch. Now it looks like a donkey or something.
I love it.
Maybe a little hippo-y.
It's a hippo. It's a unicorn, hippo, giraffe.
Hippo unicornimus.
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
Anyways. Well, that's as good as it's gonna get. For
Looks like a crocodile.
When you start working on it, like as soon as you poured the molds, did you start doing it by hand or would it?
yeah, so like if I was doing like just something like this, so when I did these ones, that's actually when I would do this because it's easier to work with. So by the time I got to this, it was already at like this consistency, which is kind of past the point because then it's like super hard to work with, and this is actually the point where you probably want to start pulling sugar out of if you're doing that kind of that technique. So, well, I tried my best.
I love it.
I should have stuck with the nail polish.
Right there, Macy's
I love it. It's so
Yeah.
cute.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so these ones,
It's a crocodile.
they probably have about, and don't do what I just did. They probably have about like 6 more minutes, and then they'll be hard enough to take out. And then we're gonna microwave our Peter's caramel. I know you guys all love it, right? It's the best caramel. So you can make it too. I know I had that question earlier. You can make your own caramel as well. I just always have done the Peter's caramel because I can never like get that caramel technique down. So you microwave this, and then you're gonna pop these out and dip them in, and hopefully these will set up quicker. But so for this one, when you're done, do you see it's already set up? So it sets up pretty quick, so you don't have a lot of time. I always put like a knife under it to like pop it up. So there's my little donkey cow. There it is.
Styling.
And then I usually put like another round circle of candy mixture on, and then I stick it on like that. So then you have your lollipop in a different shape. But oh, I lost this tail. So there's that technique. It was really fun to do. I was nervous. Yeah.
What was your first shape that you made out of a mold? Not like that was not just a mold of candy.
The first shape, it was an egg.
An egg. Okay.
Yeah, so I did the whole like swivel look to the egg, and then I put in just a round thing on top of it, and there was a hard egg right there. Okay, they're getting closer.
Have you ever added citric acid to any of the fruit flavors?
Yes, I have added that. You have to be very careful with this.
When do you add?
So at the very, very end, when everything is done boiling and it's at 300, you add in like I think it's like a teaspoon of citric acid. You add it in and stir it in, and then you hurry and pour it into the mold. Because if you add it in any sooner, it will start to burn the sugar. So you want to add that the very last step. Yeah.
When you want to do an opaque one, what do you add?
An opaque one.
So when they're not clear, when they're more solid.
So I always use like a white color. Yeah, that's always the base if you want that. You just add a touch of white and then whatever color you want to do. So it's more of that solid look. Yeah.
How do you like make it?
How do I like make it? I love doing it. Is that what you're asking? I love making them. You're so cute. Yeah, that's great. Oh, that's so adorable. I love making them. And I told my husband once I stop making them, I won't make them anymore. So you gotta love what you do, right? So adorable.
So you can double the, you said something about more sugar, so you could double the recipe then, right?
Yes.
It won't mess up the.
No, yeah. So on these, when I have to do like smaller batches, I just half it down. So instead of a cup, I do half a cup. And then go down to a 4th cup and then an 8th cup. And then also likewise, if you want to go up, it's just a cup more. So it's 2, 1, and then half. So, yes.
I love the Don Triple Fox crocodile.
I love it. Thank you. You just made my day.
So the flavors are pretty much, these are the measurements unless it's, you said it was peppermint and cinnamon?
Yes, those ones you want to go.
Switch them out equally, right?
Yeah, those ones. So with the chocolate one, yeah, it's a half teaspoon. But if you're doing peppermint for this one, you'll want to go down just a touch, like not a 4th, but a little bit above a 4th, if that makes sense. Just because they're super potent. Like a little bit of those go a long way. Okay.
But you said on your cinnamon you double it.
Oh yeah. Well, like if you don't want it super spicy, then leave it at like that kind. But if you're like me who likes my mouth like to burn off from it, then add 2 amounts, the double amount. Yeah.
How do you clean the pan after?
How do you clean this?
Yeah.
No, what you're gonna do is a good old fashioned, you soak it in water for like 30 minutes and that's it. And then you clean it like in the dishwasher. So, yeah.
How many batches would fit in a pan that size? 2?
Yeah, so if you do 2 cups of sugar in this one, that will fit. But don't do any more than 2 cups of sugar in this. There are bigger sizes and you can do them in those ones as well. Okay, so these are about done. So the key to getting them out, a lot of people I have noticed like try to get them out like this, right? They try to pull them out like that. Don't do that. You want to push from the bottom. If you see the bottom, I can't see that, so I wish I could.
You can.
Okay,
You can
so
see it.
push the bottom, and then it just pops out. Did you guys see it just pop out?
That was neat.
Yeah, so that will help so you don't break as many. That one's not ready yet. And you'll know if it's not ready. Did you see that, like how it didn't pop out? That means it's still cooling. So that one just popped right out too. That one's not ready yet.
Combination of flavors.
What?
If you're doing a combination of flavors, do you just want the 2